Neil Battaglia, Nealian.com. I saw this problem, a word problem, today, and it says if you built a 300 mile per hour train, then slowed it by 1/2, then slowed that new speed by 1/3, then slowed that new speed by 1/4, what fraction of your original speed is your train's final speed? Basically, I think this is a fairly straightforward problem if you understand the language. If you misinterpret some of the statements in the problem, you're going to get an answer that's pretty far off. So let's check out what some people thought the answer was. Okay, so the first person said the answer is 1/24. The second person says the same thing. You don't see the work for the first person, but I'm thinking that the second person probably did the same process as the first person. So they multiplied 300 by 1/2, then by 1/3, then by 1/4. And basically multiplying 2 times 3 times 4 gives you 24. If you have the reciprocals, you get 1/24. The third person gets the same thing. The fourth person gets the same thing. The fifth person actually gets the right answer. So the answer is not 1/24, it's 1/4. The process for the fifth person is that they multiplied 1/2, and then they did 1 minus 1/3. So in the problem it says you reduce the speed by 1/3. That actually means subtracting 1/3 of the original speed. So 1 minus 1/3. And then it also says reducing the speed by 1/4. So that means 1 minus 1/4. Probably the more efficient way to do that is just to multiply 1/2 by 2/3 by 3/4. But I like how this person showed the process, and you can see the numbers from the problem directly in their work. The next person says 0.042. 0.042, I think that's 1/24. That sounds about right. 1/25 would be 4%, so 1/24 is a little bit higher. If that was the right answer, it kind of still would be the wrong answer because it's not written in the form that's asked for, because the problem asks for a fraction and that's a decimal. It's not really, it wouldn't necessarily be wrong conceptually, but it's not in the format that is requested by the person who wanted the answer. All right, the next person says 1/24, which again is the wrong answer. Person after that says 1/4, that's the right answer. 1/4, right answer. The next one says 300 minus 150 minus 50 minus 25, which means 300 minus half of it minus 1/3 of that. 50 is 1/3 of 150, and then minus 1/4 of the 100. 1/4 of 100 is 25. So they get 75. 75 over 300 gives you 1/4. This method works. It's probably a few more steps than some of the other people. The next person says 22.5 miles per hour. I'm not sure how they got that, but that's not correct. Next one says 1/4. That's correct. Next one says 1/4. And they use a pretty compact method, 1/2 times 2/3 times 3/4. It's a little bit harder to actually deal with fractions when they're using slashes like this. I recommend my students not to use the slashes. I would rather see a horizontal line for fractions because you can see if things cancel out easier. If you saw 2/3 times 3/4, you could see more quickly that the 3's cancel out. Because in one case you're dividing by 3, in the other case you're multiplying by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So 2/3 times 3/4 is going to be 2/4, which is going to reduce to 1/2. 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. Next person gets the right answer. Next person says 1/4, which is the right answer. After that, a couple more people get the right answer. He says, my bad, reread it. Should be 100, not 50. So I think he realizes his mistake. And then he gets the right answer, 1/4. The next person kind of does what someone did earlier. They multiply by each fraction. which is not correct. All right, so this person kind of just multiplies by the fractions, which isn't really the right process based on the language of the problem. Someone says that the new speed is 12.5 miles per hour. The fraction of the speed is 24. I think they meant 1 over 24. The other person who replies thinks that they should use 1/8. So I'm not sure how you get 1/8. That's not correct. And this person says, I don't know why you get 1/8. It doesn't make sense because it's not correct. So they kind of have somewhat correct logic, but not really. And then I actually respond. I say slowing by 1/3 means reducing the speed by 1/3. So you subtract 1/3 of the speed at that point. And I say probably the faster way to do that is to multiply by 2/3. You use a similar process for reducing it by 1/4. Next person gets 12.5, not correct. 1/4 is correct. 12.5 is not correct. 0 is definitely not correct. 1 over 24 is like the 12.5. 1 over 24 is still not correct. Yeah, this person understands the process. You want to reduce the speed by 1/3, not find 1/3. So the language would change if you wanted to multiply by 1/3. It would say get 1/3 of the speed or take 1/3 of the speed, not reduce the speed by 1/3. It's like if you reduce 10 by 2, you'd subtract 2 from 10. All right, so 12.5, 1/8, those aren't right. 1/4 is right. Next one shows the process in kind of a strange way, but they do get to the right answer. So 300 minus, it's really 300 minus 1/2 of 300 gives you 150. So that's kind of hard to follow. 100 over 8, I don't know how they got that. So quite a few people got the right answer, but a good number also got the wrong answer.